Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Writing Show Music for Battery Percussion. This is part 3, episode 3, whatever you want to call it, of Celebration of Morning's Light. In part 1 and 2, we basically wrote all the way from the beginning up to measure 42. Today, in this part, we're going to try to make it from 42 to 58. We'll see what happens as the raw footage time gets larger and larger. But so a couple of things, or one big thing has changed. If you've noticed from part to part, I have now written in stickings for all of the snare drum, tenor, and every unison bass drum note. My kind of pseudo OCD got the better of me while I was working on this, and so now we have stickings. I'm not going to write them in as I write in the video. I'm just going to write them in for the recording at the end. But yeah, so let's get started. So in this part of the chart, we're at a really loud section. If you're writing a pop song for marching band, this would probably be a chorus section, where like this part here would be a verse. All right, so generally when I write pop charts or whatever for marching band or marching battery, I try to do a lot of soloistic writing in the verse sections, and then I try to do a lot of full ensemble writing in the chorus just to give it a little variety. But so we're gonna write the quote-unquote chorus section of this today. So let's keep that kind of main thematic rhythm from earlier, 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and oops, accent and dynamic. Okay, so we'll keep that for the A measures again. I think we did something similar to this at the beginning, but yeah. Okay, so in the B measures we'll do, or the even number measures, we'll do something different. Let's do this because this is one that's very easily done. This measure right here, for those of you who aren't a percussionist who follows drum corps, this measure right here, 1 and a 2 and 3 and a 4 and, is known as the Colin McNutt Special. At the time of recording this, Colin McNutt is the battery arranger for the Boston Crusaders, or at least I'm pretty sure he's the battery. He's like the head honcho in charge of their percussion section. He writes their music and everything else. But he uses this measure so much in his writing that it's coined its own term, the Colin McNutt Special. So we're going to shamelessly copy him for a second. So let's see. That's the first 3, 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and Colin McNutt Special. Let's add some more paradiddle stuff here, just because we can. Paradiddles are kind of a great get out of jail free card when you're kind of out of ideas for stuff to do, because they fit well with mostly everything you're going to do. I'm going to do a paradiddle diddle and then 2 puttidas. So again, for those of you who don't know what a puttida is, it's basically right, left, left, sticking where 3 notes of equal value. But yeah, so we'll do a paradiddle diddle, 2 puttidas, and a release on beat 4. And then we'll kind of copy the Colin McNutt Special, but not so much. Let's do this. Let's do 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and then we won't do it here. We'll do a 2 measure kind of fill type thing. Let's do some more syncopation stuff because we can and because I want to. So this is another thing I like to do when I write for drum lines, is use dotted eighth notes. Matter of fact, let's just accent everything there, and then we'll have it crescendo kind of by just adding dynamics into it. It's just kind of a way to throw a little bit of a curveball to the audience. The audience is expecting the full band to play 1, 2 and 4, and we're just going to throw a little bit of a curveball at it, and hopefully it will be received well. If it's not, and your students vomit on it every time, obviously take it out. But anyway, we want to be as aggressive as we can be in the writing stage, so that we we actually teach something to our students. Anyway, so let's do a little bit more copy paste. There we go. And then why not? We'll do fortissimo here, then go down to mezzo piano and crescendo all the way back up. That'll help the musicality part of our drumline score. Okay, so let's see. Since we copied that measure pretty much note for note, where can I find it again? Here we go. Yeah, sweet. And I'll just keep those lyrics in there for sticking when I do that later. Okay, so then let's put the Colin McNutt special on the tenors. Where is it? There it is. So you can do basically anything you want drum-wise on here, but I most commonly hear the Colin McNutt special played on tenors as this iteration right here, starting on drum 3, going to drum 2, shot on 1, and then end of 2 on drum 4. But you could do it like you could do something like this, where all of the 16th notes are on drum 4. Here, I'll show you what that'll look like really quick. I said I wanted this to be less than like an hour of raw footage, or when but it's who knows if I keep going off the rails like that. But yeah, you could do something like that. I'm not going to do that just because I don't want to. So yeah, I'm not going to explain myself anymore. I don't have to. So let's see. Then we have the paradiddle measure. This is something I like to do with tenors. This is also something that Paul Rennick does a lot in his writing. Whenever he has a running line of 16th notes in his snare drums and maybe his bass drums, he will do a rest and a 2 on drum 4 and have it all as rim shots, and it sounds unbelievably cool. Let's see. And then just because I would like even more musicality, we're going to do a crescendo from piano all the way up back to forte. And we're going to add accents on beat 4. This is going to sound really, really cool. Matter of fact, let's do a fortissimo right here just to make this louder than the snare drum notes. Yeah, I think that'll be great. Okay. Then we'll copy the Colin McNutt special over here. Okay. All right. So now we'll copy the same rhythm as the snare part, and then add it to the drums. Let's see. We're writing for 1 Spock, so we'll put that rim shot on the Spock. I haven't done a lot of stuff on the Spock in here. So for the syncopation thing, you can do something like this, where you just go straight down the drums. So drum 1 and 2 together, and then drum 3 and 4. Maybe. There we go. I'm gonna do something a little similar, but not quite the same. There we go. I'm gonna do drum 1 and drum 2. Drum 2 and drum 3, and then drum 3 and drum 4 on the release for beat 1. Get your life together, Robbie. There you go. So I'll just be going straight down the drums. Usually if you're writing double stops, let me go off the rails again. This is a special occasion, but usually you don't want to write double stops for drum 2 and drum 3. You only really want to write double stops for drum 1 and drum 2 and drum 3 and drum 4. It's a little bit easier and feels more relaxed on the drums to play for those of you who aren't drumline nerds like I am. But anyway, so we'll do the same kind of dynamic crescendo type thing here. Let's see. Then maybe we'll copy this. But I already know I want single strokes here in the snare drum, so I'm going to change this to not be double strokes, and I'll change the drum voicing to make that a little bit more obvious to me later. Let's see, and then add the crescendo. Very good. Awesome. We're almost done with this phrase, and we're only on 11 minutes of raw footage. Okay, so let's see. Let's write more of my favorite rhythm for drum line on the bass drums, 1, 2, and 4. And you know what? No rim clicks for right now, just because I wanna keep the number of rim clicks relatively low in the bass drums because of my annoyance when the bass drum mallets get chewed up so quickly. But anyway, so we'll copy all of this into the A measures. And then we'll copy first part. There, very good. Now, if you wanted to make this more impactful, you could take off the accents for this mezzo forte note. I think I'm going to do that, just for dramatic effect. Okay, so for the B measures in here, I'm not going to do 1 and a 2 and 3 and a 4 and. I'm going to do a whole beat drum split. This time, or for this measure, down the drums, and then in the next fill measure or next B measure, we're going to do the exact opposite. It's a really easy way to fill out your bass drum music with stuff that makes it easy to learn, because patterns are always a good thing. Anyway, so let's see. I don't think I want any dynamic shifts here. Let's see. So I've already got 2 and 3 and 4 and going in this one. So let's kind of support that real quick. Let's do something a little different though. So we'll still accent 2 and 4, but we won't accent 3, or we won't accent just beat 3. So that'll be 1, 2 and 4 and 2, 3 and 4. I think that'll sound really cool in the grand scheme of things. So for this part of this measure, I'm going to copy this from the bass drum since they've already done it, and I'm going to put it in the right spot because I'm not a second grader. There we go. I'm going to continue, or I'm going to keep the crescendo. Very good. Yeah. All right. So now for the cymbals. Yes. All right. Let's see. So the accent beat 1 and the and of 2. And just to keep the number of cymbal notes relatively low, that'll be it for that measure. Then let's keep this 1, 2, 3 motion going here. And again, usually I accent every crash that's above the dynamic level of mezzo forte, or mezzo forte and above. Let's see, so that, and then just to give us some variety in our cymbal writing, I'm going to do some sizz sucks, which is basically a sizzle straight into a hi-hat choke. Now you got to be relatively careful here, because if you wrote this in eighth notes, it's not possible for one singular cymbal player, but in quarter notes, I think it's going to be okay. If we're still worried about it, we could take off this first note, and it would be okay. But I think for a beginner plus, that's going to be okay. Anyway, so then we'll copy the A measure again. And then we'll just have 4 crashes to kind of help this 2 and 3 and 4 and thing we got going on in the battery, or in the upper battery. And then, you know what, we'll copy the A measure again. I won't worry about doing the syncopated thing in the cymbals, just because that's a little optimistic to think that all of your cymbal players are going to do that and do it well. But you're more than welcome to write it like that. I'm not going to, just because, like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, and then we'll do a whole note. You know what? Let's do something different. Let's do a whole note sizzle. Or let's do a dotted half note sizzle to give the cymbal player time to reset to get back to the crash position. which is where they're going to start the next phrase. All right, now this looks really jumbled. Let's put this on the next page. That still doesn't look great. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, so we've got one part of this down. We're still in a chorus type setting though, so we're on basically the second 8-measure phrase. So let's make this phrase a little bit more notey than the first one. So we're not going to follow the A, B, or we're not going to take this same A measure. I think for this one, let's do some paradiddle diddles. So I'll just start by writing a whole measure of 16th notes and putting my paradiddles, accents in there. Then we'll do more puttidas. I'm gonna do some weird voodoo magic right now with my. There we go. So if you didn't know you could do that, you can absolutely use the copy and paste tool to copy parts of beats and turn them into the downbeats if depending on how you place the mouse cursor when you're doing your highlighting or whatever. Anyway, so let's see. So yeah, that'll be my A measure here. So paradiddle diddles. All right, so then for this measure we'll do something just a tiny bit different. Maybe we'll do, instead of a true paradiddle diddle here, we'll do a paradiddle and a tap, and then 2 more paradiddles just to get us out of the measure. Okay, then copy the A measure. Now, when I'm saying all this stuff about copying the A measure, you don't have to write this, your choruses or whatever, like A B A B A B. It doesn't matter. But I'm doing it here because essentially the chart does it. But like I said, you do whatever you want. This is just me showing you this example. So for here, let's do a little bit of 8th notes, just because it's time for some 8th notes. We've got basically 5 measures of nothing but 16th notes, with a little bit of exception. But if I could find my main hits button, thank you. So let's do something like this. Yeah, why not? If we'll see what happens with that. Accent all the rim shots. And then I think, you know what we'll do? We'll copy this right here for our last 2 measures. And we'll call it a day on that. Okay, so let's write some more tenor notes. Do I have that? Do I have paradiddle diddles lined up in the tenors? I do. Well, kinda. There we go. All right. So here, let's kind of foreshadow this measure in the snare drums and the tenors. So we'll do tap, and then we'll do another kind of really cool Paul Rennick type thing, is doing a paradiddle between the spock and drum 4. And we will accent all of drum 4 instead of the spock notes. That sounds really cool to me. And then we'll just we'll keep this. Nope. We'll put it in the right place. There we go. Copy the A measure. Okay. Now here I'm going to do something that I don't know if Paul Rennick does, or if anybody does it. I'm certainly not going to claim that I made it up by myself. but I'm going to do shots on 1 and 2, and then lead it back in. This part I know Paul Rennick did before I did, but we're going to lead back in on with 1 beat on the spock, and then straight down the drums. There we go. And just for S's and G's, I'll make all these accents. So let's make fun of myself. This is going to break my same rhythm, same sticking rule, but I don't care. And if you remember, I think it was part 1 where I put a little annotation at the bottom of the screen is, thus is the golden rule for percussion writing: do whatever you want and make an excuse for it. This is this is the same thing. Anyway, so let's see. We'll do that, and then we'll copy this measure and transpose percussion notes. All of my drum 2 goes to drum 4. There we go. And then all the stuff on drum 1 is going to be a right hand rim shot on drum 1. You can use either right hand or left hand rim shot. It's just, well, I'll show you what happens in my template if I tell it to do a left hand rim shot. Let's see. It'll put it way up there because I've essentially said I don't want to differentiate between the two. So I just took the left hand out of the equation. So we'll fix that real quick. Let's see, drum hand right, rim shot, very good. Okay, yeah, and then let's do a mezzo forte crescendo. Yeah, that'll be fine in the cymbals. And then part 4 will start with writing a quote-unquote percussion break in a two measure percussion break or whatever, or 2 measure gap in the chart. But yeah, so let's see. Now we're just at the bass drums. Okay, let's see. Let's do some more split notes. One thing I try to tell people to think about is the amount of unisons you use in your bass drum parts, because normally one of the most common comments I make on any percussion tape is your bass drums are too loud, and most of the time it's because they have way too many unisons in their bass drum parts. But so let's try to take some of that down a little bit. So we'll just do some simple-esque syncopated stuff here. And I'm not going to follow the accent pattern here. I'm just going to go straight down from 4 to 5. And then we'll copy the A measure. Let's see. And then let's be mean to the bass drums now. Let's do the 8th note splits again. But we won't be as mean because we won't do a crescendo. It'll just be all forte. You know. And then A measure. Okay, now one thing you can do that's really cool is if you have an accent pattern like this where two drums are playing the same pattern, you could do something that accents the other notes in the other drum. And that's always really cool. It makes it sound like the drum line is playing straight 8th notes accented, but it's not. It's between all of the voices, and that's always really cool. Very good. So yeah, all right. So then just the cymbal part now, and let's see. So we're in a different part of the. Ooh, I missed a dynamic here. Forte. We're in a different part of the chorus, so I want to do something different here, and I want to kind of push the tempo through. So let's do just straight up 2 and 4 crashes at forte. Boom. And I won't even worry about copying the thematic material. We're just going to have 2 and 4 until this measure right here. And you know what? I see no reason not to just have it as a whole note. I'm not going to try to do the syncopated stuff with the cymbals, but yeah. All right. So this is the shortest video ever for this series. with only just under 26 minutes of raw footage. So with that, I'm gonna stop recording at all the sticking, and then we'll listen to what we've got so far, and then hopefully part 4 we'll finish it, and then we'll be done.